You actually met Keith in 1978 as well, didn't you? At the
I did.
same the
Yeah,
same
again.
exhibition Tony Fletcher met him at.
Yeah, only time I ever met Keith, that was at the Who's Who exhibition at the ICA. Um, didn't expect to meet him. And there was talk of the band turning up, but in the end, it was Pete and Keith that turned up that day. And yeah, I mean, he was a lovely man when I met him. You didn't suspect anything was going to happen. A month or so later, he looked happy. He looked healthy. I mean, he didn't look like he looked when he was early 70s or like 60s. Physically, he looked totally different. But he was quite joyful. He was happy to sign stuff. Gave me a hug. Nicked my biro. Um, see, that's not in Tony Fletcher's book, is it? Um, but yeah, no, I wouldn't have expected what happened to have happened after meeting him then. I guess the band always say that they always expected it to happen. Um, but there was no indication to me that he was in that condition. Um, Having done the notes and done the research, I now realise how bad a condition he was in. But at that stage, he was trying to get straight, um, and I saw no reason why I wouldn't be seeing him live again sometime soon. Um, but yeah, no, it was nice. It was nice to actually, in hindsight, to actually say that I met Keith Moon. Yeah, and as say Tony was there as well. Myself and Tony share a number of sort of parts in the 70s where we were both at gigs that we never knew about it, obviously, until Tony came to do the book. I was introduced to Tony, um, and we discovered that we were both South London lads, and we both shared a few experiences with the Who over the years.
So it's just occurred to me that Tony writes in Dear Boy about meeting Keith and Keith writing down his home address for him to pop round with his fanzine.
Yeah,
He could have written that address down with your pen.
didn't realise that. I wonder what where that pen is now. Can you imagine? Must be worth a bomb.
Yeah.
Tire.
Oh,
Yeah,
the injustice of it all.
yeah, true. And I probably missed out on many other autographs that day because of it.
Um, and yeah, staying on Dear Boy for a little bit longer, you went with Tony to interview John Entwistle. What was that? What was that like as an experience from your perspective?
Well, I already knew John, and so I really introduced Tony to John for that. And I went down there. I didn't need to go down with Tony. I mean, Tony, would have been fine on his own, but I just went down because John knew me. So it was as though it was a sort of, put everyone at ease type thing. Um, but I think as Tony recalls, it was a very dry day for us. Um, a couple of hours into the meeting, we had to ask for water while John was busily pouring brandy into his coffee. Um, I loved it. I mean, I loved John, and I visited him at his house many times. He was always most gracious, most welcoming, and uh, yeah, I miss John a lot. He used to send Christmas cards. I remember those. Don't know where they are though, but I remember getting Christmas cards from John, and that meant a lot.
Yeah, I've always had the feeling that of all the Who members who were still alive at that point, he was the one who was probably most uh, how do you describe it? Easily approachable, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, John would stand out in the pouring rain signing autographs for fans. Yeah, I mean, John. Yeah, I mean, John would ring me, and invite me down for no reason whatsoever. And I'm not saying that I was unique in that he did that to lots of people. John realised who his fans were, and he made them welcome. Um, but to me, it just meant a lot. At that stage, I was probably what year was that we did that drive down? Early 90s, mid 90s probably. So I'd already started. It was probably around the first convention time, I guess,
I
because
think
what it
Tony said.
came
I
out in
think
'98, didn't it? The
yeah. I
book,
think Tony told me it was. I think it was a few weeks before the Hyde Park gig at the end of June.
the
I think.
'96. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And then even on that, I mean, like, I remember on the day of Hyde Park, John rang me and asked if I had any spare tickets, which I did because I was running the fan club at the time. So, we managed to get some tickets. So he said, "Oh, can you run it over to my hotel?" Which meant missing Bob Dylan, which wasn't a great loss to me. But I remember going to his hotel and John was still in bed, and he had his mum there and Lisa at the time sitting around him while he was in bed having his breakfast. And I just thought, my life has just become so surreal. um, yeah, and that's the sort of relationship I had with John. To be honest, it was nice. That's what I can say. It was a really nice. He was a nice person. Um, he could be bitter at times about stuff, when you spoke to him about things that have happened, but he was just nice. I don't know anyone that had a bad word about it. And for me, my wife at the time, and Mark Donovan, who I did Naked Eye with, he was always welcoming. Yeah.
Yeah, really sad loss. I also missed Bob Dylan at Hyde Park because that was my first ever Who gig. Um, I think it was a couple of weeks after I'd finished my GCSEs, so I was 16. But the reason I missed Bob Dylan wasn't because I had to give a member of the Who some tickets, but they weren't serving alcohol in Hyde Park then. So me, my dad, and his mates had decided to go to the pub and then buy a load of beer from the off license and sit outside Hyde Park while Bob Dylan was playing.
Yeah, I
And
did this. I did the same when Clapton came on. I went to the pub.
yeah, we got in there just as the real me was starting up, and then we left about halfway through Clapton because at that time I mean the technology's improved now, but at that time we were so far back that the sound wasn't matching
Mm.
up with the screens.
It was a really windy day, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. And my dad's friend was moaning it was like watching a badly dubbed Japanese movie, so
Yeah,
we decided, yeah, let's go.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. It was a really windy day. I mean, it was big, really big occasion, wasn't it? Um, but yeah, as soon as Quadrophenia finished, me and my mates, we just went down Henry's down Piccadilly.
Yeah, no, brilliant day, and probably the only time in my life when I've been round a group of lads singing "There's Only One Trevor McDonald" when he walked on stage. That was
That's
quite
never going to
surreal.
happen again, is it?